This sprawling naval base was locked down after al-Shamrani stormed a classroom and opened fire with a handgun. Within minutes, authorities charged into the building.
Walking through the crime scene was like being on the set of a movie.
I'm devastated. We are in shock. This is surreal.
Investigators say al-Shamrani killed 3 people and wounded several others, including 2 sheriff's deputies, before one of the deputies took him out.
If that is true, and it's a danger to my community, okay, you will hear about that from this office.
Well, we've been told by several officials, law enforcement and military officials, that the suspect, the person they believe carried out the shooting, is a Saudi national who was here in the U.S. for training, named Mohammed Saeed A. al-Shamrani. Mohammed Saeed A. al-Shamrani. But I can only tell you what we have confirmed, which is that this person named Mohammed Saeed A. al-Shamrani, a Saudi national, is the person that authorities say carried out the shooting today.
Several law enforcement officials tell NBC News that Mohammed al-Shamrani, the man in this picture, is the person who fired shots at the Naval Air Station Pensacola this morning.
Walking through the crime scene was like being on the set of a movie.
I'm devastated. We are in shock. This is surreal.
Identified by sources as Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani.
The gunman was identified as Mohammed al-Shamrani, a Saudi Air Force officer.
Officials identified the suspect in yesterday's shooting as Second Lieutenant Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani. He was an aviation officer in the Saudi Air Force, training to become a pilot at the Naval Air Station Pensacola.
If that is true, and it's a danger to my community, okay, you will hear about that from this office.
CBS News confirmed the name of the shooter as Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani. Authorities say he was part of a group of international students training at the base.
Walking through the crime scene was like being on the set of a movie.
We are in shock. This is surreal.
CBS News has learned the gunman was Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani. CBS News confirmed the name of the shooter as Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani. Authorities say he was part of a group of international students training at the base.
CBS News has learned the gunman was Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani, and he was a Saudi Arabian national and a pilot in training for the Saudi Air Force.
While the FBI would not confirm the name of the suspect, sources tell NBC News that Mohammed al-Shamrani opened fire inside of a classroom. We've learned that he was a member of the Saudi military and was training at the base.
We are not prepared at this hour to confirm what may have motivated the shooter to commit this horrific act today.
While the FBI is not confirming the gunman's name, other law enforcement officials are saying he is Lieutenant Mohammed al-Shamrani.
He had been in the U.S. for aviation training since 2017.
Last night, we confirmed that the shooter has been identified as a 21-year-old second lieutenant in the Royal Saudi Air Force who was a student, naval flight officer at Naval Aviation School's command.
Late tonight, the FBI would not confirm the shooter's identity.
This allows us to take advantage of investigative techniques that can help us more quickly identify and then eliminate any additional potential threats to the rest of our community.
Tonight, sources say the shooter may have been involved in an ongoing dispute with one of his instructors.
CBS News has confirmed the gunman filed a complaint against one of his flight instructors here in Pensacola. CBS News has learned he may have had some issues with one of his instructors who he didn't like.
And sources tell CBS News that the shooter may have been involved in an ongoing dispute with one of the instructors at the base.
CBS News has learned he may have had some issues with one of his instructors who he didn't like.
The New York Times reports the gunman filed a formal complaint earlier this year against one of his instructors who left him infuriated in class by tagging him with a derogatory nickname about his mustache.
According to a New York Times report, one of his instructors gave him the nickname Porn Stash. The instructor called him the derogatory nickname in front of 10 other aviation students, embarrassing him and angering him.
According to a New York Times article that was published today, the shooter filed a complaint earlier this year against one of his instructors for calling him porn stash. According to The Times, in the complaint he wrote, "I was infuriated as to why he would say that in front of the class."
But the New York Times is also reporting that a new report shows that Al-Shamrani filed a formal complaint earlier this year against one of his instructors, who he said referred to him as a porn stash, referred to his mustache as a porn stash in front of a number of other aviation students, which angered and embarrassed him. The Times says that they have confirmed this, that this report is accurate.
We are not prepared at this hour to confirm what may have motivated the shooter to commit this horrific act today.
The New York Times reports in the days before the Pensacola attack, the gunman traveled to New York City.
They also say he made a visit to New York City in the days before the attack.
Officials tracing the gunman's footsteps, claiming he and several classmates made a recent sightseeing trip to New York City, including a recent trip to New York City where he visited several attractions.
The Associated Press reports days before the attack in Florida, the gunman went to Manhattan, visiting places like the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree.
If that is true, and it's a danger to my community, okay, you will hear about that from this office.
The Middle East Media Research Institute shows someone matching the shooter's identity had an extensive online presence. In a Twitter post, the writer says, "Oh, American people, I hate you because every day you support funding and committing crimes, not only against Muslims, but against humanity."
Several news outlets tonight are reporting the acts of violence carried out by gunman Mohammed Saeed Al-Shamrani were part of a manifesto. The outlets, including the New York Times and Daily Mail, say the manifesto found online criticized the U.S. for its support of Israel.
Now, as you said, the New York Times is reporting that there was an online manifesto, and I'm going to go ahead and read it out. And according to what they're reporting, the manifesto reads, "I'm against evil and America as a whole."
According to the Middle East Media Research Institute, someone matching Al-Shamrani's identity had an extensive online footprint. In a Twitter post, the writer says, "Oh, American people, I hate you because every day you supporting funding and committing crimes not only against Muslims, but also humanity."
The gunman, a 21-year-old from Saudi Arabia, reportedly posted anti-American tweets before the rampage.
But sources have told various media outlets that just minutes before Friday's early morning shooting, a Twitter account with Al-Shamrani's name posted a message declaring hate for America as a nation of evil because of their crimes against Muslims. And the message also raised the possibility that this attack was inspired by al-Qaeda, who, of course, and the architect of that, the 9/11 terror attacks, Osama bin Laden.
Investigators say the gunman behind the apparent terrorist attack posted anti-American tweets before the killings.
He reportedly posted anti-American tweets right before the rampage. Barely 2 hours before the shooting spree, someone matching Al-Shamrani's identity posted this on Twitter. "Oh, American people, I hate you because every day you supporting funding and committing crimes not only against Muslims, but also humanity."
The Saudi gunman who killed 3 people at the Pensacola, Florida Naval Base Friday had apparently gone on Twitter shortly before the attack to criticize U.S. support of Israel.
According to the Middle East Media Research Institute, someone matching Al-Shamrani's identity had an extensive online footprint. In a Twitter post, the writer says, "Oh, American people, I hate you because every day you supporting funding and committing crimes not only against Muslims, but also humanity."
We are not prepared at this hour to confirm what may have motivated the shooter to commit this horrific act today.
This afternoon, the Associated Press reported that the gunman and others watched videos of mass shootings earlier in the week, and the AP also reported that other Saudi students on the scene videotaped the shooting.
The Associated Press reports the gunman held a dinner party just days earlier, watching mass shooting videos with 3 other students.
Law enforcement officials tell NBC News that the shooter, Mohammed Al-Shamrani, a Saudi Arabian national, returned from a visit back home in February, more pious than ever before. And they say last week he invited 3 Saudi friends to his home for dinner, where they watched videos of mass shootings.
New York Times this morning is reporting that the gunman watched videos of other mass shootings prior to that attack.
We are in shock. This is surreal.
Investigators are looking into whether he held a dinner party days earlier at which mass shooting videos were viewed.
The Associated Press has reported that the shooter held a dinner party days earlier where he watched mass shooting videos with 3 other Saudi students.
Sources now telling ABC News they're investigating classmates' claims that al-Shamrani watched videos of mass shootings in front of friends at his home just days before the carnage.
We are not prepared at this hour to confirm what may have motivated the shooter to commit this horrific act today.
The Associated Press has reported that the gunman held a dinner party days earlier where he watched mass shooting videos with 3 other Saudi students. According to the AP, one of the 3 students who attended the dinner party recorded video outside the classroom building as the shooting was taking place.
As much as I would love to answer any questions about the videos or any other presumption information that's out there, my goal is not to continue the misinformation campaign.
The Associated Press has reported that the gunman held a dinner party days earlier where he watched mass shooting videos with 3 other Saudi students. According to the AP, one of the 3 students who attended the dinner party recorded video outside the classroom building as the shooting was taking place.
We are in shock. This is surreal.
The shooter, Mohammed Saeed al-Sanrani, apparently had a dinner party earlier this week where he watched videos of mass shootings with other people. That's according to the Associated Press, who also reports that one of the people who watched those videos with him actually recorded him committing the massacre here on the base, and 2 other people were reportedly in a vehicle watching Saeed al-Sanrani carry out the shooting.
All witnesses, including some Saudi nationals, are being questioned, a U.S. official told CNN.
The Associated Press is also reporting that al-Shamrani hosted a dinner party earlier in the week prior to the deadly shooting. The AP also says during the party, al-Shamrani and 3 other students watched violent mass shooting videos. It's also being reported that one of the students who attended the dinner videotaped the shooting carried out by al-Shamrani, and that multiple Saudi students are being detained.
The New York Times is also reporting that 6 other Saudi nationals were arrested near the base shortly after the attack, and that 3 of them were seen recording video of the shooting.
3 other Saudis who were on the base were filming this attack. That's the late report tonight as it was taking place, and I believe, unless this report is wrong, 6 were arrested. There's something, if they're just questioned or arrested, but I think they're arrested.
I don't think there's any question. There's terrorism here.
If that is true, and it's a danger to my community, okay, you will hear about that from this office.
Yes, well, you know, every time there is a mass shooting, a gun law debate soon follows, and this was no exception.
Every indication is this is clearly terrorism, and so we've got to understand why these people are on our base. Are they vetted? And clearly, we've got to change what we're doing. I've called. I'm going to have a meeting hopefully next week with Secretary Esper and Secretary Pompeo to understand exactly what we need to change to make sure Americans are safe.
I'm not going to worry too much about him being able to buy a gun legally when we're putting him in a jet aircraft.
It was a somber ceremony. The bodies of the 3 fallen service members arrived at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware last night